For many years now, ice baths have had the reputation of being a very good way to recover after a hard workout. But over the past few years, science and sports have been questioning its value, and in fact even debating the idea of its possible adverse effects. There's been conflicting opinions, outlooks, and observations that can confuse athletes on what to think about ice baths. So today, I'm going to present where the science stands on the issue and let you decide for yourselves. But first, let's take a step back and think, well, why do athletes need to recover in the first place? To start, endurance training results in cardiovascular and skeletal muscle adaptations that in combination improve an athlete's ability to run. Now, to drive these adaptations, progressive and continuous increases in training intensity or volume are necessary. This is why athletes train so hard and often. It's to cause that physiological stress which promotes adaptation during your time in recovery. But, as serious athletes are aware, with such a large training stress comes consequence in the form of muscle damage or inflammation, dehydration, or even glycogen depletion. And if an athlete doesn't adequately recover from these stresses, it can result in suboptimal performance and adaptation in the next training session. And to go further, if there's a long-term imbalance between training stress and recovery, it can result in overreaching or overtraining. Now, to avoid this imbalance, many athletes use different recovery interventions between training sessions to reduce the amount of time spent in recovery, or to improve the quality of the recovery period. One popular intervention is the use of post-exercise cold water immersion, also known as the ice bath. Ice baths are widely used among athletes, and they use them in an attempt to reduce blood flow to muscles, resulting in a reduced post-exercise muscle inflammation. This reduction in inflammation is thought to be related to reduced muscle soreness after a workout, and therefore an enhanced recovery of the muscle tissue. But before you feel the need to jump right into an ice bath after every training session and put yourself through that pain, ask yourself the question, is it worth it? Well, to help you with that question, let's figure out where the science stands. There are plenty of studies looking into cold water immersion on recovery and subsequent performance. But the truth is, how well cold water immersion works has not been clearly established, despite a very large volume of research. One reason why the literature is so unclear is due to large differences between studies, with different water temperatures, durations, exercise protocols being used, along with being different definitions of performance and success. In the past, 2 major systematic reviews have been performed to compare the effects of cold water immersion. The most comprehensive review was published in 2012. And here's a nice look at the results from this review. And this specific result is for perceived recovery from muscle soreness. And what you're looking at is a forest plot, with each dot representing a different study result. Dots to the right of the bold line located in the middle mean ice bath groups recovered more quickly, while dots to the left indicate that control groups, or the groups that did not receive ice baths, they recovered more quickly. Now, this looks pretty convincing, and actually kind of encouraging for the use of cold water immersion. However, one thing we need to remember is, muscle soreness in this context is a perceptual assessment. And it may be possible that the participants in these studies believed and expected cold water immersion to reduce their soreness when they had ice baths, and thereby influencing how sore they actually felt. And it's hard to get around this problem in ice bath studies, as it's not possible to provide a true placebo condition, or in other words, have a condition where participants think they're in cold water, when they are truly not. Another important question to ask in regards to cold water immersion is, should we even be trying to reduce inflammation after a training session? Remember, cold water immersion is thought to improve recovery by reducing post-exercise inflammation. And since inflammation is part of the body's adaptation response to stress, and ice baths reduce inflammation, does that mean ice baths reduce your adaptation to hard training? Other work looking at antioxidant supplements have demonstrated that taking large amounts of antioxidants does decrease the inflammatory response following exercise, And by blunting this response, athletes did not receive the same benefits from the training. Therefore, ice baths may be in the same boat, where if we reduce the response from the training, the adaptations may suffer as well. An athlete certainly wouldn't want this, and maybe ice baths aren't the best after every training session. Maybe they're best when you know you need to reduce muscle soreness to train or compete the next day, and you're willing to sacrifice these adaptations from the workout in order to do so. Interestingly, as a side note, a group from Australia recently challenged this assumption that cold water immersion even reduces inflammation at all, as they pointed out no current data exists to support this notion. So they did a study that compared the effects of cold water immersion in active recovery on inflammation after resistance exercise. And what they found was there was no difference in the reduction of pro-inflammatory markers between cold water immersion and active recovery, suggesting cold water immersion may be no more effective than active recovery for minimizing the inflammation after exercise. So after all that, well, where do we stand? Well, the truth is we just don't know yet if ice baths are aiding in recovery, or if they are even helping or hindering performance. So where I will conclude is that if you find they help, then doing them on occasion may help to reduce soreness and prepare you for the next session. For example, if a workout is so intense that you will not be able to recover and will have to skip out in the next training session, then it might make sense to use cold water immersion. However, constantly using it may also have negative impacts on long-term training adaptation. It seems likely that cold water immersion, like most other training tools, should be purposely scheduled and periodized into training programs to maximize benefits and mitigate losses. Factors such as timing of key events, rest periods, and overreaching sessions should all be considered. And as the prescriptive literature is inconclusive on cold water immersion, do your best to make your own decisions, and trust how you feel following an ice bath.